Hello and welcome to Scrapping on the Fly. My name is Kristin and I am here with my series for January, New Year, Old Stash, and Baby Got Scraps, which is a hop started by Kristin Crafts so that we can use up our scraps that have been sitting around. So I have this group of scraps and I'm going to use this sketch kind of loosely. It's by Anne-Marie Bryant. She has a website, scrapbookingwithanemarie.com. And this week our design team layout was this one. Now I've already completed it, but I like the concept and I had two different sets of pictures to use, so I thought I would go ahead and do it a little bit different. I am using the Amy Tangerine Brave and Bold scraps that I have, which is the Baby Got Scraps rules, is you may use one solid paper, that is your base page, and then just scraps. So I have all these different little scraps. My plan is to use quite a few, but I don't use as many as I expect, but that's all right. I'll have plenty of scraps to make some more layouts. And I'm not going to use these, but those are the outlines around where the stickers were. And I use them sometimes if they have like that colorful outline because they're kind of cool. So I've got some cut aparts. I have a few things left from the ephemera bits. I have a couple stickers. I'm not going to use those blah, blah, blahs. I didn't expect I would, but I figured I would share everything I had left. I do have this vellum tiger, because this is me in the chair after a garage sale. And this is the one thing I refused to sell because I kept it. And there's a long story behind that, but that's why I have the vellum tiger. And so I'm going to do my best to use this layout in this direction right here with a few adjustments. And use as much of the stash as I can. Like I said, I don't use as much as I'd like, but you know, that's all right. So I have my paper. Oh, here's the layout that I did for the design team for scrapbooking the day away with Anne-Marie. So anyhow, so I'm going to turn this one on its head like I love to do and use, like I said, as much as I can and get these pictures documented. So I've got my papers and my pictures and my scraps in the sketch. So let's see how this goes. So I decided to pick black because, mostly because of the papers that I was thinking about using have white in them. Plus I really wanted to do this, attempt this effect that I'm working on here. So I start by tapping out on a solid black cardstock Tangerine Dream, and this is Shimmer Spray, Delusion Shimmer Spray by Diane Reevely. And then after I get that Tangerine Dream, I do white linen. And then I'm going to take a strip of, it's not really scrap paper, it's the, you'll see what it is. It's the cover of a pack of paper. I always keep that stuff because sometimes you can use that as your background. I'm putting this on kind of heavy because I want to be able to blend a little bit of the orange and the white. So I'm going to get this little sheet that was inside the blue paper pack. And I love you too, buddy. And then I'm just going to put it down and smear. So it kind of gives you the concept of stripes. And so I love that, but I wanted more, so I did it one more time. And then I also added some Chroma Mist by Brutus Monroe in Ornament Gold. There's not a ton of it, but there's just enough to give a little bit of a shiny, shimmery, plus I'm using shimmer spray. And then I have this big L piece of scrap from the paper pad, and I just cut 4 scraps because after I got all these things down, the concept in my head of what I want to do, I realized that it's not just the layout of the pictures that I wanted to lift. I wanted to scrap lift the sketch, or use the sketch. So in the sketch, it is 3 layers of paper, or 3 squares. So I have the main page, and then I decided I would cut up these orange diagonal stripes and make my own square with them. which I actually love. It. I don't want to cover up all that big stuff in the middle I just worked on. That's kind of silly. So to give me my extra one, I get a Moonlight jelly roll pen and make my own second layer, or third layer, I guess you could say. So now I have 3 squares, and while the one in the middle is probably a little bit more of a rectangle than a square, it's fine. The concept is still there, and I am happy with the way it looks. So after that, I'm just going to try and figure out what I want to mat it on, because none of the papers or scraps from this collection are big enough. Well, where I use that package, the paper has that orange on it, and so I thought that would be perfect. So I'd go ahead and I would use that, because it's kind of got that same streaky look on it, and it'll just be peeking out on the sides, and that white will stand out. And then I get just a piece of white paper, and then I have that over there where my 2 smaller pictures are matted. Now, my grandmother moved from Kentucky to Texas in 2017. And when she moved, she was moving from her home, her 3-bedroom home, that was like 1,200 or 1,600 square feet. I don't know. It was a pretty decent sized home, into a sitting room and a bedroom at my aunt's house in Texas. So she was not taking a lot, because they were going to provide furniture. They already had a bed for her. They bought her a recliner, all these things that we didn't want to have to traipse across the country. So she really wasn't taking much with her. So we pretty much had an estate sale. And at the time, it was in the summer. I worked in the school system, and I was not, super busy doing other things. So I was in charge of the garage sale. Now, my entire family helped, don't get me wrong, but I stayed at the house, so we didn't have any looting. Plus, our air conditioning had gone out at our house at the time. So, it was good timing for that, at least for me and my kids. And so we just stayed at my grandmother's house with all of the items while we were trying to sell like all her furniture and things like that. So the 2 pictures on the left side are a chair that we never sold. I had moved it to the curb so we can get rid of it. By the time I got it there at the end of this like 2-week long adventure and this huge weekend of an estate sale, I was exhausted. So I got the chair out to the curb and sat down, and I could have taken a nap out there. It was very hot. This is in June. And then the next picture of me in this painting, this was a painting that hung in my grandmother's living room as long as I can remember. I don't even know how long they'd had it. It used to match their couch. They used to have like a black, orange, and white like woven couch. And so I always joked about how that painting that would be my painting. Whenever back in the day when you're little, your grandparents are always going to be there. So I would joke about when they were gone that painting would be mine. Not that I found it attractive at all. I mean, I'm not saying it's not a beautiful painting. It's not necessarily my style. But it was just the storyline, and it meant a lot to me, and it became a big joke with me and my grandmother. And so I, to this day, have that painting in my living room, and it will follow me everywhere because it has a lot of sentimental value to me. So I took this funny picture because after everything was said and done, the only thing left was my grandpa's recliner, which I still have to this day. It is 30 years old, and I still use it daily. And this painting, and then everybody else had some odds and ends. My mom and dad took a little bit of her furniture, and people took whatever it was that they wanted in our family. But other than that, we tried to get rid of pretty much everything else. So that's what this layout is all about. The end of this adventurous garage sale or estate sale. So I have this tiger. I've matted it on white because I want it to stand out and not disappear or not show like those with the orange stripes or anything like that. So I matted it on white and then fussy cut it out so it would stand out a little bit, and decided to put it down here at the bottom next to this little lion tag. It was part of a tag, and I just cut that off because I didn't want to waste the tag, but I didn't really have anywhere for it. I considered tucking it in over there on the left next to the 2 pictures, but that's just not what I wanted. So I do have a sticker on there that says, "Oh, hey, vacay," because when this was over, I could really start my summer break. I fussy cut all those hearts out from a scrap of the paper, And then those two like cheetah print ones are just stickers. And I added a little Nouveau Deluxe adhesive just in case they didn't want to stick on that mixed media. I added a little word phrase at the bottom that says I did my best, which I really did, I promise. I added a couple little word phrases at the top that say family first and this is okay. And other than that, that was mostly it. But then I remembered there is the the circular feature over on the, let's see, I am putting it to the left, and on the sketch it's on the left, but since I turned the sketch, it should have been at the top, but or at the bottom, but I chose to put them over to the side anyway. And what I did was I took my 1.5 inch Creative Memory circle punch and punched it out of the remainder of that paper I used to smear the paint in the background. So it's going to have that orange, shiny, shimmery paper. So I just cut little partial circles, and then instead of tucking them, I just cut them to the size I wanted them, and then used my Nouveau Deluxe adhesive to adhere them down. Now my plan was to just do one line of them, but because it did not start and stop where I wanted, I went ahead and just started overlaying them, so it kind of makes a full pile of little semicircles over there, or half circles. And so then I considered doing a little more splattering, but I didn't want to risk getting stuff on top. So here is the finished layout. I do love the way that this turned out. It's wild and crazy, but these pictures are also wild and crazy. I didn't use up as much of my scraps since I ended up using that packaging, but I'm okay with that because I've got some stuff that I can do with these other scraps, and I might do that while I'm on the phone with my mom tonight. We shall see. So that's it. I hope you all will go below and check out the other people who are playing along with Baby Got Scraps throughout the month of January. I hope to be back for the rest of the weekend for Baby Got Scraps, as well as some other hops. And other than that, I guess that's about it. I hope you all have a fabulous day, a great weekend, and happy scrapping.